Yellowstone National Park is one of the most fascinating places on Earth with its incredible wildlife, beautiful landscapes, and geothermal wonders. But for many people, Yellowstone evokes a deep-seated fear that something bad will happen if they visit. Some believe it to be an unsafe place where thousands die every year, while others think it's a government conspiracy where few are allowed in and even fewer come out the same ever. And then there's those who think that Yellowstone is home to a massive army of Bigfoots waiting to rip tourists limb from limb. In this episode of Fear or Fascination, we'll try to separate reality from fiction and determine what's fact and what's myth when it comes to America's first national park. Let's get into it. There are hundreds of hot springs in Yellowstone National Park, which are actually quite dangerous. The water temperature can reach 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 93 degrees Celsius. In June of 1896, two men named Joe Kipp and Horace Thomas decided to bathe in one of these hot springs. The water was waist deep at first, but after the men had been sitting there for a while, the water started to drain away. They were suddenly standing in water that was up to their knees, and then their waists. Unable to move, the pair began to scream for help, but no one could hear them over the nearby waterfall. Eventually, the water reached their necks and they drowned. While it's true that many people have died in Yellowstone's hot springs, it hasn't happened in almost 100 years, and not nearly as many as you might think. Since 1920, only 16 people have died from burns or scalding at Yellowstone's hot springs. That's less than one per year, most of whom were picnicking too close to the edge or didn't realize how fast the water drained away from under their feet. It's also pretty unlikely that something like this would happen today, because the park has gone to great lengths to protect visitors from the scorching waters. There are now barriers around the boardwalks leading to the springs and signs posted everywhere warning people not to enter. So while it is possible to die at Yellowstone from a hot spring, it's highly unlikely unless you actively try to do it. You probably won't see much wildlife, especially predators such as bears and wolves. Yellowstone is world famous for its abundant wildlife, which includes more than 60 species of mammals. Over 4,000 bison roam the park, as well as herds of elk, pronghorn, deer, moose, and coyotes. There are also hundreds of black and grizzly bears living in the forests and meadows. While the park is home to gray wolves, there are none in the immediate area. But wolves have been reintroduced to Yellowstone in recent years, and now number around 100 in the park. Despite all this, many visitors claim that they rarely, if ever, see any wildlife during their visits. It's important to note that Yellowstone is very big, spanning across 3 states, and encompassing over 2.2 million acres. This means that there is a lot of ground to cover if you want to spot some animals. It's estimated that you have a 1 in 5 chance of seeing a bison, 1 in 12 for an elk, 1 in 14 for a grizzly bear, and 1 in 20 for a wolf. But just because you might not see a lot of wildlife, doesn't mean Yellowstone isn't full of it. In fact, there are hundreds of species of plants and animals living in Yellowstone, many of which are endangered or threatened. So if you don't see any wildlife, it doesn't mean that the park is empty. It just means that you need to keep your eyes peeled for the next time you visit. People die horrific deaths all the time. Yellowstone is a beautiful place, but it's also unforgiving. In recent years, there have been several high-profile deaths in the park, which have only added to its reputation as a dangerous place. In 2016, a young woman named Rachel Ceratops was gored by a bison while taking a selfie. She was airlifted to a nearby hospital where she later died of her injuries. Just 2 years earlier, a man named Eric Storm was crushed to death by a bison. He was hiking with his girlfriend when the animal charged him and knocked him off the trail. His body was found the next day, partially buried in mud and debris. These are just 2 of the most recent deaths in Yellowstone, and they paint a picture of a park that's not afraid to take lives. The truth is that Yellowstone is actually a very safe place to visit. In fact, you're more likely to die on the roads leading to the park than within it. According to the National Park Service, there were 128 deaths in Yellowstone between 2010 and 2018. Of those, 40% were the result of people driving off the road or failing to wear seat belts. Another 20% involved people who fell or jumped off cliffs. The remaining 40% were due to a variety of other causes, such as medical emergencies, fires, and drownings. Only a small percentage of deaths in Yellowstone are caused by wildlife. In fact, there has never been a recorded instance of a grizzly bear killing a human in the park. Bison are the most dangerous animals in Yellowstone, responsible for more deaths than any other animal. They are unpredictable and can run 3 times faster than humans. So if you encounter one on the trail, it's best to stay far away. All in all, Yellowstone is a safe place to visit if you use common sense and respect the park's wildlife. Yellowstone is uninhabited, and the U.S. Army maintains a secret base there. One of the most popular theories about Yellowstone is that there is a massive army base beneath the park where the U.S. military is conducting secret experiments. The theory goes that the government created Yellowstone National Park as a cover for this base, and that few people are allowed to enter without special permission. Some even believe that the park is home to a secret society of Bigfoots who attack anyone who enters their territory. In reality, Yellowstone is a national park just like any other in the United States. It's managed by the National Park Service and is open to the public. There are no secret bases or societies of Bigfoots. The only military presence in Yellowstone is a small detachment of soldiers from Fort Sill in Oklahoma who provide security for the park. The detachment consists of about 100 soldiers, and they're there to protect visitors and park property from things like vandalism and theft. They also assist with search and rescue operations and other law enforcement activities. The soldiers are unarmed, and they don't conduct any classified experiments or engage in any other secretive activities. If you visit Yellowstone, you're unlikely to even notice the soldiers are there. They typically blend in with the rest of the park's visitors. So rest assured, there is no need to be concerned about a secret army base or Bigfoot society in Yellowstone. Yellowstone is a place of great natural beauty and wonder. From its geysers and hot springs to its canyons and waterfalls, Yellowstone is truly a sight to behold. While there are some dangers that come with exploring such a wild and untamed landscape, the vast majority of visitors to Yellowstone leave with nothing but fond memories. If you enjoyed this video, check out another episode of Fear or Fascination about great white sharks. And as always, thanks for watching.